Well, here we are, race 3, folks, here in round 6, here at Imola. It's been a pleasure, hasn't it, certainly, but we've still got one more chapter here in this very eloquent story indeed. Here at the region of Emilia-Romagna, Euroformula back yet again after 2 great races that we've had. We had one yesterday, of course, we've had another one today. Yesterday's being won by Ollie Goethe, stretching once again his lead in the championship. Not only that, getting 9 race wins this season, 1 away from the auspicious 10. Can he beat the 14 this season set by Felipe Drugovich? Of course, he's also taken a win this weekend at Zandvoort in Formula 2. So Goethe on the precipice of greatness here. Race 2 is obviously won by Vladislav Lomko as well. If you joined us earlier on, the Grand Prix de Pau winner, making it 2 wins this season and doing a wonderful job indeed of marshalling the deficit. Of course, Goethe was right in the fight with Frederick Lubin, who did such an excellent job earlier on today of defending the position. And what a wonderful moment it was. Goethe wasn't without, though, his moment of scares, though, because he did come up against Alex Garcia heading down into the Ravazza. A slight collision between the pair ended up forcing Alex Garcia into the gravel trap, and nevertheless, we're going again. All the drivers have a second chance at this point, of course. The grid pretty much the same. Obviously, we'll take a look at it very, very shortly. But here at Imola, what a circuit. 3.05 miles, that's 4.936 kilometers. March 1950 is when construction started at this very circuit. It then opened in October of 1952, settled in the town of Imola in the heart of Emilia-Romagna region of Italy. 25 miles, that's 40 kilometers east of Bologna. And the track named after the great Enzo Ferrari, and later on his son as well, Alfredo Dino Ferrari, hence the name Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Dino Ferrari as well. What a great place to be. I for one, have been looking forward to this round for a very long time. Imola obviously plays a prominent part of my motorsport heritage as well, and certainly for all of these drivers. Ollie Goethe also explained that to claim a victory here, of all places, was such a pleasure, and a man who would really love to claim a win here as well is this man, Francesco Simonazzi, who certainly, the hometown hero, really came into this weekend with a lot of promise. Fastest in FP1. Couldn't quite do it again in FP2, though he was second fastest, just behind that of Ollie Goethe, who really turned up the heat in that session. He came to me and said, "I told you, George, I told you so." And he certainly did as well. Not only that, managed to get a clutch finale in qualifying, getting pole position in race 1. But it's a different story now. Race 3. And Ollie Goethe is going to be starting from 6 on the grid. So like he did earlier on in race 2, that's what he has to contest with. Can he cope with it yet again? We'll have to wait and see. Can he go better than the 3rd place he managed to grasp in our earlier race? For those of you who don't know, my name is, of course, George Morgan. I'm taking you through the action this weekend. We've had, as I said before, a grandiose race 1, not to mention a manic race 2, with obviously what happened in terms of Turn 1 and Turn 2. Tamburello was very action-packed indeed. We had a 3 wide earlier on as well. Like I said, you'll see that in the highlights later on. But here is the man who is on the front row and in first position. It's Josh Mason, who has a habit. He has won in this kind of situation before. Remember, front row at Hungaroring, took Mansell all the way in towards Turn 1. And Mason managed to get his first win in Euroformula as well. So I'm sure he'd love to do exactly the same thing again, only this time at Imola. But he's going to have a stiff competition alongside him as well. Freddie Lubin, we've seen that sensational defensive ability that this young man has, and certainly Freddie Lubin, fellow Brit to that of Mason, is going to be looking to try and get his nose in front as well. Starts mean everything here in this long straight. You haven't really got a lot to really negotiate with heading down into Tamburello, certainly from where they're starting on the grid, but just enough if you can get a good launch. And if your fellow competitor doesn't get the best launch off the grid, it can prove costly. One man who'll know all about that is this chap here, Francesco Simonazzi. The last 2 races haven't necessarily gone the best, certainly in terms of a starting procedure, but he's recovered greatly. A lot of pace behind this young Italian, the 18-year-old, who certainly did prove his worth in the past 2 races. Closing in on Christian Mansell in race 1, was very disappointed that he couldn't get more out of that. And again, he started showing that, certainly show those signs of closing down as well. Here is young Christian Mansell, the Aussie, who sort of came unstuck in our race earlier on. Had a little bit of a tap with Josh Mason, both cars having to venture into the pit lane. Obviously some damage sustained to the tyre on Mansell's car. He had to box, have it replaced, and then venture out to the circuit where he just creeped past Vladimir Netashil. Here's Vladislav Lomko, our winner in race 2. He's going to be filled with so much confidence. Looking forward to another race 3. He said to me that I hope I could do it again. I would love to get 3 wins this season to date. And if he pulls off yet another display like he did earlier on, you would never, ever write him off. Of course, he's got stiff competition still, though, because he's got a friend next door to him. It is our current championship leader, Ollie Goethe, the Great Dane, who managed to recover to get 3rd place as well. Has already racked together 1 race win in yesterday's first race, and I'm sure he'll be looking to get another one as well, as we're now keeping our eyes peeled for yet the crowds now venturing in. You can just hear certainly a lot of activity down on the pit lane as well. And here is Alex Garcia, the man who unfortunately ventured into the gravel trap. It was unrecoverable from there. He had to be lifted out with the crane, and he was an official DNF. You'd be looking for a little bit more of an upturn in his fortunes as well. Vladimir Netashil is alongside him as well. Looked to be getting one of his season's best finishes, nearly finishing ahead of Christian Mansell, who just about got him at the last moment, but another thumbs up and a wave as well from Vladimir. It's a pleasure to see him, but we're going to take a look now at the highlights from our race this weekend. So, what a getaway for Ollie Goethe, and a great start indeed. Got the launch just like he wanted. Vladislav Lomko had to fall in behind. Lomko, he said to me before that he needed to get ahead of Goethe in towards turn 1. Simonazzi, what about this display? Making a move this time and making his way through Acqua Minerale. Goethe, though, would cross the line, take the checkered flag and seal the deal in race 1. And race 2, well, how about this for drama? Of course, it would be Josh Mason getting off the line. Francesco Simonazzi had a tricky start. 3 wide into Tamburello would give us this moment. Freddie Lubin, unfortunately, coming unstuck at that particular point of the circuit, though Vladislav Lomko very much in charge. Goethe also had to tie up with Freddie Lubin as well, getting pretty much nailed off the track as well. And then a collision with Alex Garcia heading through the double lefts at Rivazza. Though he didn't suffer damage, it would still be Lomko, though, who would take the win, and he would celebrate and lift the trophy aloft. And that's what brings us to this very moment, folks. Race 3 here at Imola, of course, in the Emilia-Romagna region. The sun has been out all weekend, and we'll now take you to the final race. Here we go. So the sun's shining, as I said before, folks. There was fears of rain coming into this weekend. There were murmurings in amongst the paddock through practice, but here is the starting grid nonetheless. Josh Mason starts in 1st place with Freddie Lubin in 2nd as well. Francesco Simonazzi with a great chance in 3rd. Christian Mansell 4th. Vladislav Lomko starts in 5th. Oliver Goethe in 6th. Alex Garcia starts in 7th with Vladimir Netashil in 8th place. So those are your drivers and the cars ready for the start of this race, folks. Obviously, we will have the formation lap to take first of all, but a huge opportunity for the 2 Brits up at the front. Josh Mason, as I said to you before, has won from this particular position in the past, and he knows he's capable. Always comes into the paddock with a bold sense of confidence, does Josh Mason, and a very, very good chap to speak to as well. I've had the pleasure to speak to him now on many an occasion, and very charismatic as well. Very much like the man who's alongside him, Freddie Lubin, who certainly did have an eventful run, certainly earlier on today, and also technically for race 1 as well, where he came toe-to-toe with Simonazzi. Unfortunately, coming off on the wrong end of that one. He quickly made up for it, though, earlier on today. But he'll want to go for the big points this time. Of course, 1st place would be very much on the wanting list here for Freddie Lubin, as the crowds now get themselves ready to go. The boards go up. And very shortly, they will lead themselves away on the formation lap, and they'll get those tyres warmed up, ready for the start of this final race of the weekend. Of course, we got still 3 rounds to go after this one, as they now look to get ready to go. And away on the formation lap, they certainly do go. Josh Mason leading them away. Francesco Simonazzi will get those tyres warmed up. Now, this is a hugely important moment for Francesco Simonazzi. He needs to make sure he gets off the line well, better than he has done in the last couple of races, and I'm sure the Italian has that on his mind right now. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled as to how he does. The BBM car, of course, expected to do very, very well indeed. Christian Mansell in 4th as well. He'll be looking for an upturn in his fortunes. And, definitely incentivized to go quicker this time. As you can now see them making their way through the Villeneuve chicane. And in behind as well, Vladislav Lomko, who would love to make it 2 wins this weekend, as would Ollie Goethe. Was Goethe chasing that 10th race win. That's exactly what he wants. Just a note as well on Simonazzi, actually managed to get the fastest lap in our previous race as well. So the pace is definitely there for the Italian. And I would not write him off for a potential Cinderella story this afternoon. Of course, Imola, plenty of corners to be negotiated at this particular track. 19 of them in total. And, you've got the iconic corners such as Tamburello, not to mention the Villeneuve-Benz Tosa as well, as you then make the almighty climb, the highest elevation point at Piratella, before then ducking down into Acqua Minerale and then making your way up towards the next chicane, before then tackling the Ravazza corners, the penultimate 2 at the end of the circuit, before you then take the little kink in the right, which is turn 19, and then you'll be down the long straight before you then venture into turns 1 and 2 yet again. But there you can see the cars now rounding those last few corners, and Alex Garcia won't have fond memories of this particular portion of track after venturing into it, and but keen to get back out there again. Looking forward to seeing what the Mexican can do as well. Was also a very good defensive driver. We saw his expertise at Spa, and no doubt we'll see it again, I'm sure. But the cars now just making sure they get the last bit of heat into the tyres. They need to take every moment of this formation lap to ensure that the rubber is up to temperature. There's Vladislav Lomko, race winner earlier on today. You just see Simonazzi aggressively spinning the tyres there as well, just making sure the rears are up to temperature. All vital to getting a good start off the line. And he'll take his grid position, of course, 3rd on the grid for Francesco Simonazzi. So let's see if he can make the use of it. We'll have to wait and see as they now all line up. Spectators all watching on. You can bet your bottom dollar that the garage crews are going to be looking on as well, as they now look to try and tackle these 19 corners that are ahead of them. 19 laps. And the pace car just in behind as well, just monitoring them as they go in. The green flags now being waved. Here come the lights. 3rd light, 4th light, and the 5th light. And it is pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. No problem with the start for Simonazzi this time. He got away well, so did Josh Mason. In behind as well, Freddie Lubin in 2nd place, who ultimately dives down the inside. Mansell managing to hold on to 3rd despite Simonazzi's approaches. A cleaner start than race 2, though, as Mason streaks onwards and upwards, leads the way. 2nd place as well, Freddie Lubin, as well in 3rd place, Mansell. A very good start this time for the Aussie, with Simonazzi just in behind him as well. The Italian will be pleased, though he has got just in behind him Vladislav Lomko and Ollie Goethe, 2 of the drivers that have already won races this weekend. Garcia as well, now in 7th place. Netashil down in 8th place as well. Garcia will be looking to try and close on Goethe, maybe pay him back after the 2 came together earlier on, but we'll have to wait and see as we're now seeing the cars come around the Piratella, down in towards Acqua Minerale. Josh Mason now leads them through. Simonazzi, you'll have fond memories of Acqua Minerale himself. As I said before, made an absolutely dazzling display, a wonderful move that time on Freddie Lubin, who currently sits in 2nd, will be looking to take full advantage of his on-track position, as will Josh Mason for that matter. As I said, very difficult to get past Josh Mason. Once he's got his head ingrained in at the front, he can be a very tricky customer to certainly get past, and I can imagine he's going to be putting those skills on display here this afternoon. As now they make their way around the Ravazza corners. They've got Ravazza 2 coming up next before turn 19 becomes available to them, and then it's down the long straight before they then enter Tamburello for the 2nd time. As now they venture down now. Lap 2 will begin here of 19, and still in front, Mason holding on firm. In behind as well, Freddie Lubin, with Christian Mansell not far behind either. Simonazzi now in trouble because here comes now Vladislav Lomko, goes down the inside now, the Grand Prix de Pau winner and winner of race 2. Now, oh dearie me, a flick of the rear and very nearly in trouble. Goethe has already looked to spring up there on Vladislav Lomko and has done the job. Goethe now ahead now, Vladislav Lomko up into 5th place. A wonderful move. He knew exactly what to do just when he needed it, and he managed to unlock the door, certainly just as Lomko lost and bent out of shape, certainly around the Villeneuve sections. And you have to say, very good intuition there from Ollie Goethe. Those reactions are exactly what his driver coach Stuart Hall would have taught him as well. We see these drivers time and time again in the paddock working on their reaction timing, and a little twist of the wheel from Goethe and he's able to get past that of Vladislav Lomko. He is now up into 5th and he's going to chase after Simonazzi now. Simonazzi will breathe a sigh of relief because Lomko looked to have the better of him heading into Tamburello. Unfortunately, the exit didn't help him on that occasion, Vladislav Lomko, but he will be back, never writes off Vladislav Lomko. Like I said, 2-time race winner now this season, as they now head down through towards the Ravazza corners. Still in front, Josh Mason, yet to be deterred, still leads the way. Lubin in 2nd, Mansell in 3rd. All of them within reasonable time gaps right now. Near enough 4/10 in between the bunches. We just saw the move that took place earlier on. As you can see, Vladislav Lomko getting a full car in front of Simonazzi. Unfortunately, though, dipping into the grass, and that allowed out of Tamburello for Ollie Goethe to head into Villeneuve in front as well. And there you have it, folks. That is how easily positions are won and lost in this race. Certainly here at Imola, as now the cars once again make their way through. And still, Mason on top. Simonazzi now looking to try and usher his way forward. He's currently sat in 4th and actually closing now on Christian Mansell. Obviously, given the way the cars are strung out right now, utilising the slipstream, all of them within reasonable gaps. As I said before, 3 to 4 tenths between the top 4. So there is a 7/10 gap between Lubin and Mason right now. So Lubin providing the cork in the metaphorical bottle right now. Of course, Lubin did exactly this earlier on, which will come to Mason, I think, with a bit of delight, because, of course, it'll allow him to kick on. Doesn't have to worry too much about what's behind him, because he knows that Lubin is going to be doing his utmost to defend against the approaches from Christian Mansell. So we'll have to wait and see whether Mansell decides that he's a little sick and tired of waiting in 3rd place and may yet challenge Lubin for that 2nd position as they now make their way in towards the next chicane. We all know how competitive these drivers are indeed. Of course, Mansell, a get-up-and-go attitude, as has Simonazzi in behind. He's been working on his mentality as well, as we've said all weekend long, ever since Hungaroring, where he managed to pull off an incredible display in race 3 and getting ahead of Ollie Goethe, which it was a dramatic fight in between those 3. It was Goethe, Simonazzi and Mansell at that point. Funny enough, we've got the 3 of them all adjacent to one another right now. Currently Mansell in 3rd, Simonazzi 4th, Goethe now sat in 5th. I'm sure Goethe would love to pay him back for that exchange as well, as we now see Mansell make his way down through towards the Tamburello corners, just sticking to Freddie Lubin like glue right now. And Josh Mason once again applying the delta on top of Lubin, very nearly touching his 2nd, just over 9/10 now is all that separates Mason and Lubin. Though that could drastically change should he be able to get outside of that 2nd gap. Of course, doesn't want to provide a tow. I mean, if he can avoid it, it will solidify his position up at the front as well. Mansell being dragged along 3/10 in behind that of Freddie Lubin. Simonazzi just around 6/10 in behind that of Mansell, but still very close together as well at this stage. Lap 4 of 19, that is what these drivers are on right now. Of course, Alex Garcia also right at the back, chasing after Vladislav Lomko. Lomko still in 6th and trying to get closer and closer to Goethe, albeit he's 1.1 seconds off now since that little error. So we'll see now if he can peg it back in. Of course, Goethe is going to be very tricky to chase. We've seen it before, but you can see there Lomko in the distance. He is getting closer as now the cars venture their way through the next chicane. Now, still leading, it's Mason. That gap of 9/10 of a second is still pretty much stagnant right now. It hasn't really moved a muscle. And coming down in towards the next double left-handers. In fact, it's just exited. It's actually gone out by a second, well, just over a second, in fact. 1.1 now it's been expanded to. So Mason doing a sterling job right now of boosting his prospects in this race. Of course, still early days. Lap 4, now lap 5 of 19. We've got approximately 15 more laps to go. So now make their way down through towards Tamburello. There is Simonazzi. Heading down now into turns 1 and 2. You can see Christian Mansell just ahead of him. Of course, these two were going to tie up at the end of race 1. Simonetti was very frustrated that he didn't manage to get past out of Christian Mansell. He managed to pull the time gap in so dramatically. Christian Mansell made comments about his tyres, saying that he could not quite get them quite right. And therefore, he said he lost time as a result. But Simonetti, with his pace, we know that he can produce fastest laps. We said before, race 2, where he managed to clinch the fastest lap in that race. Of course, points on the table for fastest laps as well, so these drivers doing their utmost to make sure they can secure them. Of course, Ollie Goethe, very good at netting those. He's managed to net 10 fastest laps to date this season. So a wonderful season so far for Goethe. He's really been the star of the show this season, and has got quite a vast fan base. Of course, we've seen him compete now in Formula 3, and he really did represent the championship very well, as did Christian Mansell as well. Euroformula have certainly a very, very good history of producing great new talents. Of course, the likes of Yuki Tsunoda, who's now in Formula 1, and various others as well who have competed at the top end. Felipe Drugovich, for that matter, as well. As you can now see, Simonetti trying to look at opening the door this time on Christian Mansell through Ravazza 1. He'll try to get through Ravazza 2 perhaps, as he now looks to tee up maybe a nice drag strip run heading down through towards Tamburello. Well, Simonetti knows how to make overtakes, do not write the Italian off. We've seen quite a few on display this season. And I said, even prior to this weekend, that move at Hungaroring was certainly one of the moves of the championship. You could argue to say that his move at Acqua Minerale in race 1 was the new move of the championship right now. So he is certainly capable, as now the cars make their way down through towards the next chicane. Still Mason on top, Lubin second. And once again, Mason really working hard to try and defend that lead. And fastest lap now for Freddie Lubin, so he's managed to pull that back in. That gap now at 7.5 tenths of a second. So a great display from Freddie Lubin. Mansell in behind, around 1.4 off the lead, but 6 tenths away from Freddie Lubin. Very much in tow. Very much a train of cars right now, but it's starting to split now between Simonetti and Goethe. Goethe currently 8 tenths of a second now behind that of Simonetti. So Simonetti's got a bit of breathing space. And certainly after displaying the fast lap times that he can string together, Mansell could be in a little bit of trouble here, because of course the Italian very, very pushy when it comes to finding the pace on the track. And he will work hard to certainly try and get his nose in front ahead of Mansell as they now make their way down through towards the Ravazza 1 corner. Again, Simonetti getting nice and close in behind that of Mansell's car as they venture through. Will he again show in the mirrors? Not this time. I think he's going to perhaps look to try and get a good run out of turn 18 before then venturing out of turn 19. If he can pull it together, this could be a good moment here for Simonetti. Just a little bit squirrely heading out to the final few bends. So they venture down the home straight yet again. Still Mason on top here in lap 7 of 19. All the drivers still very much in tow. All it takes is one mistake and it can all slip away from you. Mason this time with the fastest lap, a 1:38.119. Very good pace here from Mason, leading the way and doing so extraordinarily well right now. Could this be a second race win of his Euroformula career? Could it be a second win this season as well? We'll have to keep our eyes peeled. Certainly doing it for the Brits. And in behind as well, Freddie Lubin, fellow Brit as well, coming through the next left with Mansell in behind the Aussie, with Simonetti as well. I mean, what an occasion it would be for Simonetti to get a podium here as well at his home track. They're, of course, very well adjusted to Imola. And the 18-year-old would love to certainly stand on the top step, or on the top steps indeed. He certainly did lift the Italian flag aloft in the rookie prize giving when we got to race 1, but still was very disappointed that he couldn't execute the move that he wanted on Christian Mansell. Just look at the pace there from Josh Mason, just venturing out of the chicane. He's 1.3 now, ahead now of Freddie Lubin. Mansell in third, trying to close the gap as well. Simonetti just locked in behind Goethe, just slotting in behind him too. Lomco trying to get himself back into the mix though. Lomco once again slipping further and further away right now. 1.3 seconds now between Lomco and Goethe, with Garcia 3.7 in behind Lomco. So the cars venture past the paddock and the pit lane for the next lap around. There is Lomco now. Looks like he's trying to bring it back in. He certainly is working hard, Vladislav Lomco, our race 2 winner. Mason Oak careering away in front, really looking really solid at this moment in time. A strong presence up at the front. 1.5 seconds now of the realm. And a fastest lap this time for Vladislav Lomko, so he is pulling it back in, Lomko. Doing an extraordinarily job. Has actually broken into the 137s with a 9.67 to boot. And that is the fastest lap of the race so far. Christian Mansell now looking to approach, this time on Freddie Lubin, getting fed up in third place. And a little nose down the outside line into Tosa. Of course, Lubin going, you could say, a little bit defensive. We saw him doing a lot of that in our race earlier on. Mansell getting closer as they now head through Piratella. Mansell knows that he needs to try and get past, doesn't want to lose Mason. Of course, they are teammates, those two, Mason and Mansell, but at the same time, they both like to win as they head up through Acqua Minerale now. In behind as well, Simonazzi in fourth. Trying to close up on Mansell as well, just waiting for any mistake, any door to be open. Simonazzi will then look to pounce as they head into the next chicane now. Mason just zipping his way through, as is Lubin. Mansell just in behind, Simonazzi getting a lovely run as well. And you can just see there, Mansell chopping at that wood right now. He's gaining a tenth and more a lap currently on Freddie Lubin, who's just ahead of him in second place. Big chance now for Mansell. Of course, no slipstream for Lubin right now, so he's got to try and work hard to try and keep Mansell in behind, of course. Josh Mason really pulling away, so it's all on Lubin now. Can Mansell try and maybe move alongside and take a move in towards Tamburello? Let's watch the two come together. Simonazzi just in behind. He's got the best view in the house as they make their way down through towards turns 1 and 2. Mansell has a look down the inside. Not this time. Certainly Freddie Lubin just moving his car just an inch to the right, but now on the cutback, Mansell might have a go here into Villeneuve as they head through, making their way around now. Mansell switching to the inside, maybe will choose a late break. Here they come again. This time though, Lubin defends as they make their way out to the Villeneuve chicane section now up towards Tosa. Mansell again with a switch, but Lubin, he knew it, he didn't fall for it. Simonazzi very nearly benefiting off the back of that late move, but an excellent display of defensive effort there from Freddie Lubin. Opted to park his car on the inside, knew very well that Mansell was switching all over the rear, and as a result, Ollie Goethe and Vladislav Lomko have come to join the fray as well. So we've got an extraordinary situation here with certainly what looks to be all these cars now fighting for podium places. This has helped Mason out though. He is now 2 seconds clear of Freddie Lubin. There he is now coming through the next chicane. Still though, Lubin in second place. Mansell just in behind as well, a tenth of a second. That's all that separates them. And Simonazzi getting right close and personal as well. A mere fraction is all that separates them as they head down towards Ravazza 1. There you can see now Freddie Lubin, who's managed to at least advance that gap somewhat steadily, just in behind as well. Mansell trying to get himself back into contention again. You must have thought that Mansell was a surefire favourite to get that move and make it happen, but Lubin's defensive efforts again proving their worth right now. In behind, Simonazzi has got Goethe breathing down his neck too, so he's not under the question to be in a little bit of jeopardy either, as is Lomko's coming into the fight as well. Coming in towards Tamburello now. These 5 drivers all looking to try and claim podium places. There's Mason. He's up and leaving. He's gone. 3.4 seconds ahead now of Freddie Lubin. It's all on Lubin to try and marshal off the advances now of Christian Mansell and Francesco Simonazzi as they make their way through. A little bit twitchy there from Simonazzi, but he's okay as they now make their way up through towards Tosa. And all of them in tandem. Goethe here on lap 10 of 19, closing up to Simonazzi with Lomko just in behind as well. A win between them, between the pair of them this weekend. Of course, race 1 going to Goethe, race 2 going to Lomko as they head through this next left-hander at Piratella now. They'll take the descent into Acqua Minerale. And still at this point, Lubin leading this contingent around as they now make the climb. And they'll have another chicane to take. And still right now, Lubin, the cork in the bottle. Mason, they're scooting off into the next chicane. And Lubin needs to get his head down now and try and defend against this absolute plethora of cars that are now trying to get their way into the podium places. Very, very close racing all weekend here in the Euroformula Open Championship. We certainly have seen plenty of exquisite manoeuvres, plenty of battling, lots of defending. It has been a pleasure to watch. As we're now watching them make their way through the final couple of corners, they will commence the next lap now. 11 of 19. And still Mason leads the way. He's managed to increase the gap again. Another 0.4 of a second applied to the top. In fact, make that another 8 tenths. In fact, he's 3.8 ahead of Freddie Lubin. And Lubin still holding firm, but Lomko now fancying a go on Ollie Goethe as they head in towards the next chicane. And Lomko not quite enough, but did enough to upset Goethe slightly. He's lost a little bit of time to that of Francesco Simonazzi, who is sat in 4th spot. Lomko really putting the pressure on to Goethe's car right now, because obviously, given the fact that Lomko is where he is on track right now, he knows he has to work hard to try and work his way up the field. He really did want a big result in his final race. Obviously, the championship fight is still on. As things stand, Christian Mansell is in the best position in terms of racking up points for this championship. Of course, Mansell was pretty pleased with the result from race 2, because while things may not have generated in a race win for him, the very fact of the matter is Ollie Goethe did not get the top results, and the championship fight will continue here at this point. Goethe, Mansell and Lomko all in contention for that particular crown. Of course, Lomko currently leading the rookie championship by some margin. Of course, Simonazzi, after his recent displays, he's managed to move himself up to 2nd in the rookie championship. So Simonazzi, his efforts are being very much rewarded, though he would still very much like a podium on this occasion as he now looks to get closer. His points target will certainly get closer to that of Lomko should it remain like this, because of course Simonazzi will take the rookie win at this particular point as they now make their way down through past the pit lane on the right hand side once again to commence the next lap. And, still Mason out in front here on lap 12 and making his way into the chicane at Tamburello. He'll then have another straight to take. Fastest lap again from Mason, who is now pushing home the advantage at 37.891 to boot as well. The fastest lap point will obviously help his championship cause. Wants to try and move his way up the standings too. It's now Lubin, still very much defending, as now we see Mason taking the Tosa left-hander. There you see Lubin now. He's about to take the very same corner with Mansell in hot pursuit. Simonazzi not far away either as they make the climb. Goethe, you can see in the distance, currently marshalling off the approach of Vladislav Lomko. They are clear of Alex Garcia, who's down in 7th, with Nettershil in 8th. We did speak to Alex Garcia prior to this race. They did sustain a little bit of damage when he ventured off the track, but managing to get the car out and ready for the start of this race, which is great to hear, certainly, and excellent certainly to see these cars out on track for the Imola race weekend. As now they make their way into the next chicane, you can just see Lomko again just looking in Goethe's mirrors, just showing in the mirrors there and giving Goethe something to think about. Of course, trying to force everything he can into the corners of this car. You can see when the drivers are certainly at their brilliant best, that sometimes the rear can escape them, and they do try and put the throttle down as hard as possible. Obviously trying to keep hold of these wonderful machines, these Dallara F320 chassis. The sheer pace that's behind them, these drivers certainly love to drive them, that's for sure, as they make their way down this long straight once again. And it's still Lubin holding on to 2nd place with Mansell very closely in behind. He might have a chance here as well. Simonazzi just in behind him. What about Lomko and Goethe? We've got plenty in the offing here as they come in towards Tamburello. Lubin defends, as does Goethe. Lubin just doing enough to hold on, as is Ollie Goethe against Vladislav Lomko, who certainly looked to be very menacing in the rear of the Great Dane. Here comes Mansell again, though, as they come out towards the Villeneuve chicane. They come in side by side. Still, though, it is going to be Freddie Lubin, the defensive masterclass yet again, as now Mansell, will he go for the switchback? Again, Lubin spies it a mile off, manages to close off any approach down the inside at Tosa, and Mansell knocking at every door, literally tapping at every window to look for a way in here, as then they come through Piratella. Still at this point in time, Lubin 2nd in command right now, with Mansell all over his rear, trying to chase every single point podium place he can, as well as Simonazzi in behind, who's ready to pounce on any mistake as well. Goethe, who is not far behind either, has got Vladislav Lomko to think about, who's been tapping on his door as well on quite a few occasions. I mean, what a race we've had so far. You can cut the tension with a knife right now. Simonazzi running slightly wide there on the exit of that chicane, has cost himself a little bit of time at the expense there of himself, and now Goethe will have a chance to maybe move his way up into that 4th place. They go side by side again. Simonazzi defending to the inside of Ravazza 1. He'll need a big exit now of Ravazza 2 in order to defend his position right right now because Goethe is right on his rear wing. Lomko also very much in the fray as well as they now work their way down past the pit lane. Simonazzi very wary as to what's going on behind him. Goethe getting closer as well as in behind. You have got Vladislav Lomko looking to typify the balance in his favour as well. Coming into Tamburello, Goethe looking to the inside. Will he leave it there on the brakes? No, Simonazzi once again proving that he still has the pace and is now looking to try and close up on Christian Mansell once again. An exquisite bit of racing here between these two. Lomko now also looking on Goethe this time too. Spied an opportunity now heading into Villeneuve. Still Goethe though holds on to that 5th place. And once again, a wonderful tie-up between these two championship leaders, of course. Goethe, the overall championship, and Lomko not only in contention for the overall championship, but leading the rookie championship as well. We're here on lap 14 of 19. Mason with an assailable lead right now, 5.8. We said as soon as he gets in front, Josh Mason, he knows how to hold on to it. And thanks to the defensive efforts of Freddie Lubin, this is a huge chance for Josh Mason to score massive here at Imola as he now makes his way into the next chicane. He has got such an advantage right now, and he's pushed it out by another 10th. Out by another 10th, 5.9 as things stand as well. Really is flying now, Josh Mason, now with Mansell trying to close up now to Freddie Lubin. And doing a wonderful job of that as well. It was half a second in the last sector as they now head down in towards Ravazza 1 with Simonazzi also in tow, approximately 6/10 in behind Christian Mansell, with Goethe now a little bit further back, who has got once again Vladislav Lomko for company in terms of where he is right now. Lomko currently in 6th. He'll certainly be looking to try and close up to Goethe's car as they now head down through towards Tamburello. And still at this stage, Lubin marshalling off the approaches from Mansell. Has done extremely well at Tosa. An exquisite defensive effort certainly from Freddie Lubin. And to the next chicane they go. Goethe losing a little bit of time at this point. He was within 6/10. He's now out to a 2nd at this point. Currently sat in 5th place. It's now 1.2, so Simonazzi cooking on gas here. And Goethe under pressure from Lomko, who's only 4/10 behind him. So the battles are starting to split and divide off at this point, as they now make the climb up through towards the Piratella. And Lubin and Mansell once again together, nose to tail, as they now head down very shortly in towards Acqua Minerale, where this man, Josh Mason, who has certainly shown us what he's capable of here at the front. Never dispute the efforts of Josh Mason, who has had a frustrating weekend to date, and this will certainly soothe those particular pains as he now makes his way out to that particular chicane as well. We'll have Ravazza 1 and 2 to take. Lubin in behind him. That gap now sat at 5.9, near enough 6 seconds at this point. So Mason once again stretching that advantage with Mansell in 3rd place. Trying to close. Simonazzi also chasing that podium. The Cinderella story. Could we yet see the man from Italy score an Italian podium here at the home turf here at Imola as they now make their way down the straight? Once again, there's Lubin making his way through. Lomko at the tail of this contingent as they now make their way down through towards Tamburello. There's Simonazzi letting fly at Mansell. He's close to the Mansell. The Mansell is to Lubin as they head into Tamburello now. And he might try and go late on the brakes. He knows what's at stake here, a podium in the final race of this weekend. Can he do it where it counts? Could it be a clutch finale? Certainly for that of Francesco Simonazzi. Every point counts and every point matters when it comes to the Euroformula Open Championship as they now head up through towards the Tosa left-hander. Still Lubin holding on to 2nd. That gap has certainly remained stagnant at 5.9. Mason obviously has a little bit of time to afford driving perhaps a little bit off, but will be very wary that he has Lubin still behind him. Of course, Lubin obviously I think a little bit more wary about the defensive side of his race right now as opposed to attacking Mason. Josh Mason, could he make it 2 wins this season and in his entire Euroformula career? We'll have to wait and see, but I can imagine the celebrations will be plentiful should it happen, as we're now seeing the cars come through the next chicane. Simonazzi working hard, and certainly Simonazzi will see this potentially as making up for the wrongs of race 1, where he couldn't quite catch that of Christian Mansell and make the move that was necessary for him to score his podium. And that's exactly what's at stake for these drivers here this afternoon. Certainly now with Lap 16 currently on the premise. You have got Josh Mason now working his way down through towards Tamburello, there in behind Freddie Lubin. Lomco in the back, just in behind Goethe, trying to close up to that Rofco sponsored golf livery. Coming down now in towards turn 1. There you can see behind as well Lubin just leading that contingent, second, third and fourth. With Mansell just in behind, Simonazzi very close as well. Ollie Goethe beginning to tail off slightly away from Simonazzi. It's now 1.5 seconds between that of Goethe and Simonazzi, so they are clear, and a black and white flag has been issued to that of Ollie Goethe at this point. So a warning going his way right now, as we're now seeing the cars work their way. Oh, wide there, wide for Lomco, and that'll take the pressure off certainly for Ollie Goethe, as now Lomco back on the track. He didn't, well, at least it didn't end up in a Carpian beach, but certainly taking the rough side of that gravel has cost him a lot of time at this point. And certainly where his gap was 0.4 of a second, he's now seen that gap really go right out wide now. We saw Simonazzi do something similar earlier on this morning, but managing to recover excellently in order to get back into contention. But this time, he might not be so lucky, Vladislav Lomco, as here on lap 17, Mason leads the way. Here's the replay of that particular moment, just coming off on the curves, again skipping over that particular point and heading into the gravel. Though doing enough to recover, at least the car didn't get beached off the circuit, but nevertheless, he will not be happy with that particular moment. Would have wanted to chase down Goethe, as now we watch Mason make his way down through towards Tamburello. About to commence yet another lap on this occasion. Goethe, who can now breathe a sigh of relief, can just worry about what's ahead of him, and that's Simonazzi now, as these two have got very close. Goethe really has felt the pressure lift off as he now goes side by side. Simonazzi, this wasn't in the storybook, as here comes Ollie Goethe, side by side now between him and the Italian, the hometown hero, and the impression now of Ollie Goethe. They still remain side by side. He has taken the escape, Simonazzi, off into the gravel at Tamburello. Lomco may have an advantage now as well as they head out now. We've got another battle towards the front end. Mansell, he's up into second. Mansell ahead of Lubin. He's done it, heading into Villeneuve. And now, heading out now of Tosa, it will be Mansell up into second. How about this moment though? It was a little slip from Simonazzi and moving to the gravel. That's what cost him the time. He came out to Ravazza too, and Goethe was on his tail. Incredible stuff heading into Tamburello, and Goethe now sits in fourth. Lomco has also jumped Simonazzi as well, as Christian Mansell also did the same out of the Villeneuve chicane. But there you can see Simonazzi. Oh, terrible scenes. The disappointment, that will certainly hurt. And I can imagine the BVM team will look on aghast at that one. Not good at all. And they will feel that one. It certainly looked like they would have a better one towards the end of this. Of course, Simonazzi right on the tail of Christian Mansell earlier on. But it certainly won't affect this man, Josh Mason, who's about to commence his final lap of this race. It'll be lap 19 of 19, his final time around. Certainly Christian Mansell a far ways back, 6.6 seconds. Josh Mason will now take them round for the final time here at Imola, as he now heads through Tamburello for the final time as well. He'll certainly look to try and strike it in position on many, hold the power, hold the pace, and make sure he crosses the line in front as well. Mansell in second, with just near enough a second gap to Freddie Lubin in third. Lubin still on for a podium, but Goethe is going to be chasing him on this final run, and he's only 1.3 seconds behind that of Lubin. So let's brace ourselves and wait for it as they now make their way through. Lubin now dropping off from Mansell, 1.5 now away, and Goethe is closing on Lubin, 6/10 just in behind him as well. As now we see Mason make his way around the Piratella, and very shortly heading down into Acqua Minerale. And as they do so, it's been a wonderful weekend, certainly here at Imola. We basked in all the sunshine. There was talks of rain, but we never saw it, to say the least. The drivers were all wondering, questioning, what conditions would we have? Of course, it wasn't to be wet, but it certainly was to be dry. And Christian Mansell certainly won't be getting close enough to Josh Mason to upset his race. Josh Mason making his way down through towards the final three bends here on this track. He has got Ravazza 1 and Ravazza 2 to take. These corners are going to taste so sweet, as the young Brit who performed in this championship last season, he took his first win last time out at Hungary, and now he's about to cross the line and win his second Euroformula race here in Imola. He crosses the line. They're cheering on the left-hand side. It is certainly Josh Mason. He's your winner here in Euroformula Open Race 3. Certainly the Mason family are going to be jubilant across the line as well. Christian Mansell, a team 1-2 there as well. Freddie Lubin in third place, manages to hold off Ollie Goethe, who comes home in fourth. Vladislav Lomko, he will come home in fourth place as well, with Simonazzi, who unfortunately, after all the scraps, will certainly be coming home in P6-2. Garcia in seventh, Nettershil eighth place. But there you can see the view from the garage. Smiling faces, thumbs up there. Certainly the Mason family will be delighted. No less Josh Mason too. And there you have it, checkered flag out. And he's certainly going to be celebrating. And that is, in consecutive rounds, a race apiece. Took a win at Hungary, and now a win once again here at Imola. Can lead from the front, and he's a very hard man to catch. And he certainly showed that today. 7.4 seconds, the advantage between Mason and Mansell when he crossed the line. So incredible display, certainly. And not to mention, he picked up the fastest lap for his troubles as well. So more points heading to that of Josh Mason. After that effort on lap 11, a 1:37.891, enough for the fastest lap. And here are the scenes, the replay of the moment where it would be Josh Mason across the line. Ever a character. His father there shaking his fist. The thumbs up, the delight. And yet again, a wonderful display. And his teammates celebrating with him. Christian Mansell, the Aussie. Such great characters. Here are the confirmed ending the provisional results, folks. Josh Mason takes the victory. First place for him in Crypto Tower Racing, as does Christian Mansell in second, a 1-2 for Crypto Tower, with Moto Park getting third place with Freddie Lubin. Goethe in fourth. Lomko finished in fifth with Francesco Simonazzi sixth. Alex Garcia in seventh with Nettershil in eighth place. But what a weekend it's been. We've seen so much drama, so much activity. The overtakes have been brilliant, but a little bit more of a sobering start in comparison to what we had in race 2. But many of you will say that's a good thing, because we got to witness a lot of cars bunched together fighting for the top places. Mason doing what needed to be done, and Christian Mansell did very well to get past the ever-defensive Freddie Lubin. That was a very entertaining duel, a titanic duel between two great drivers here in this championship. Ollie Goethe able to keep Lomko at bay, managing to get past Simonazzi just when the moment provided it, with Alex Garcia in seventh. Nettershil returning with a P8 as well. There is Vladislav Lomko. He'll be a little disappointed. A little error earlier on cost him a chance at getting ahead of Ollie Goethe, but managed to at least gain a place. More points to his cause after Simonazzi made his mistake. In they come now into Parc Ferme. Mason leading Mansell through. As out of the car steps Freddie Lubin. Another podium this weekend, and he'll certainly be delighted with that. And pulling up in the first place position, it is Josh Mason. I can't wait to see the look on this young man's face. What a phenomenal character. A staunch professional, and wants nothing more than to impress week in, week out. And I'm sure his family watched on with great pride indeed. Christian Mansell alongside him as well in second. And here it comes. There you go. The W goes to Josh Mason in terrific style, to say the least. A hug with his teammate, Christian Mansell. They'll enjoy that one. Big points go into Crypto Tower. And will once again, and a hug from his sister as well. A wonderful family they have. And the team all together helping Mason this season. They all do such a cracking job, Crypto Tower. They have such a professional operation. And they're all hugging it out now. And you can imagine the celebrations will go on deep into the night for Josh Mason. But a tremendous race indeed, folks. We witnessed so many fantastic moments on display. It was terrific. And hopefully, as we head in towards the latter part of the season, we've still got plenty of, certainly plenty of action left to come. 9 races still remain in this championship. We're going to be going to Red Bull Ring next week. And then, of course, a venture to Monza towards the end of September. And then the grand finale at Barcelona in Spain. As now we have the view from our top three. And there is Freddie Lubin, able to hold on to a third place position once again. A wonderful performance, defensive effort. Christian Mansell, he managed to get there in the end, second place, falling his way after dueling with that of Freddie Lubin. But Josh Mason is your victor, and he's standing by with Alfredo Filipponi.
Josh Mason, second win of the season here at IMOLA in race 3. It's never easy, it's never quiet, but you looked in control.
Yeah, it's been quite a difficult weekend for me. You know, we always had the pace there, but in qualifying, we didn't qualify very well, which was actually kind of good because for Sunday races, we'll start pole for both races. It was a bit unfortunate that Christian and I had contact in race 2, but no, I'm really happy to end the weekend on a high with the lead we had. But yeah, I'm really thankful for the team. They've done a fantastic job this weekend. You know, they kept believing in me, and yeah, I did it for them. I was really happy.
And clearly a very strong second part of the season.
Yeah, I think we had to carry this momentum going to Red Bull Ring next week. But yeah, very happy with the end result, and hopefully more to come in the future.
Wonderful. Enjoy the moment.
Ending the weekend on a high. Let's take a look at the highlights of that wonderful race 3. And off the line, as the green flags waved, the lights went out. It was Mason who led from the front. Did come under a little bit of an attack from Freddie Lubin at the get-go, but certainly it wasn't quite enough. Simonazzi, who was right in behind, got a better launch than what he did in the 2 previous races, though Mansell, just too much for Simonazzi on that occasion, but they all tied up at the very start. Lomco making an error, allowing Ollie Goethe to make his way through too. Mason was unusurped as he made his way through the Villeneuve chicane. Goethe locked in behind as well, working very hard to try and close the gap on Simonazzi, who put on, once again, a gallant display. Lomco, once again, taking a dip into the gravel. Certainly didn't have the best of races on this occasion. But the race would continue. Simonazzi would do the same, only this time at the Ravazza corners, buckling off into the gravel, allowing Ollie Goethe to then put the pressure on and eventually make the crucial overtake, heading down into Tamburello as they went side by side. The Great Dane once again moving on up and getting ahead of the Italian, who once again ventured off into the gravel. But plenty more would come after that. But this was the moment for Josh Mason to take his second win of the season and his career in the Euroformula Open Championship. And he celebrated. The W's were out for the Brit. And now we have the podium celebrations. Each and every single one of them about to accept their trophies after a very fine race. And we will have the national anthem as well. It's been a great weekend, folks. And we can look back with fond memories. Well, the United a bucket load of points. Christian Mansell also getting a podium as well. And Josh Mason, with a big win, holds it aloft, a second win this season. More points as well to